Start to judge yourself based on how committed and consistent you can be, rather than just chasing small goals or small achievements. Because I just finished my workout. It's 9:30 p.m. I've never been the type to work out at night. I fucking hate working out at night. Never had a consistent routine where I worked out at night, but I'm fasting for Ramadan. So the only time that I can get somewhat of a productive workout in is after my iftar, which is when you break fast. If you don't know, if you're not fasting, Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset, no water or no food. So if I'm trying to work out during the day, that's suicide. Like, my muscles are gonna cramp very, very easy. And my schedule is completely flipped around. I wake up, before the time change, I was waking up at 4:15 every single day for the past 20 something days. And I just switched like 6 o'clock right now. Yesterday I just started waking up at 6 o'clock because of the time change. But I mean, my entire schedule just got flipped around. But the same non-negotiables stay consistent. They stay constant, right? The small things that I do every single day that have kind of been like intertwined into my standard. Because one thing I want to tell you in this video is that there is no preset standards of life. If you feel like you're ambitious, which I've always felt like I wanted more, I've always felt like I wanted to, like, my biggest fear is not fulfilling my highest potential. And I don't know what that looks like, but I just know that if I don't try to do everything I humanly can to fulfill that purpose, then I'm gonna feel empty. So that's what I get fulfillment from. That's what I'm chasing, just trying to be my best possible self. I'm 21 years old, and that looks like developing my mind and body. That is what, like, in my head, everything revolves around, like, not in a narcissistic way, but like your mindset and your physique, right? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I treat my body like shit, like, because I think your physique is a physical representation of your delayed gratification, right? So if I treat my body like shit, what does that tell you about how I would treat my business, how I would treat my clients in my business, how I would treat my relationships within my personal life, how I would treat, my spiritual life? I mean, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that is a very good indication. Like, just seeing someone's physique is a very good indication of who that man is. If you can't even keep a promise to yourself, then what makes you think that person can keep a promise to anyone else? It's just been something that I've used as discernment over the years after I had the realization that, physique is everything. That's why I think the way I do. And I think if I have the mindset, like I believe, I know that if I have the mindset that I can, have the discipline to do the things that I don't want to do, working out at night, I'm about to eat like this yogurt bowl with hella protein. This is actually pretty good, but I honestly feel really full. During Ramadan, during fasting, honestly, I don't feel hungry. Like, the most I feel is just thirsty. But I don't want to eat that. But it's all congruent towards my long-term goals. That's what I'm getting at. Is the small things that I do every single day, working out, just 30, 45 minutes, right? Instead of just checking off the box and just going to the gym and half-assing my workouts, talking to people around me, actually going with intent, going with purpose, driving, right? Going, just with purpose in every single rep that I do, not set, rep, right? With my workout, with my self-improvement, because I think the second that you think that you know everything in the world is the moment that growth stops. So I'm constantly looking for ways, like, am I wrong in this aspect? Because if you're not at a position you want to be at, you have to understand that there's one of two things wrong. Either there's a time problem, meaning that not enough time has passed from you right now to where you want to get to, or it's a skill problem, which it's probably a skill problem, right? The skill problem is saying that you don't have the skill sets required. You are not the person that can get to that higher state. Because what you have to understand is that there's a misalignment, right, within your mind, because reality is what you make of it. Everyone has a skewed reality. Everyone has a different perception. And, how you view yourself in your own head is completely different to how anyone else views you, right? That's why first impression is everything. That's why when you walk into, a nice restaurant and you immediately, like, notice all these nice smells, like, the restaurant is just, like, beautiful, right? Like, everything's laid out nice. All the lights are just, like, it just complements, like, the aura of the restaurant, if that makes sense. And then like you ask someone who's worked there for a while, hey, I love the smell in here. Like I love the, the way you have the table set up. And they're like, oh yeah, that's nice. They're so desensitized to it because that is the reality, right? So you have to understand that you have a different perspective of your own self compared to someone else, how someone else views you, right? So that is when you begin to understand that if you're not happy with where you want to be at, then there's a big gap missing from where you are now compared to where you could be. And that gap is probably because you haven't defined what that person looks like. I'm talking about like little things. I'm talking about the way you dress, the way you smell, the way you carry yourself in conversation, the way you brush your teeth in the morning routine you have, what time do you wake up, the little habits you have. Do you scroll on your phone, or are you okay with being bored? When you're in an elevator, do you talk to people around you? Do you just like spark up little conversations, just tell people have a nice day? Or do you just hide behind your phone? The little characteristics like that, I'm telling you, they fucking matter. Those are the inconsistencies from where you're at right now compared to who you could be. Because if you're ambitious, you have to fulfill that potential. And it looks like, molding and crafting every single category in your life. But by that, I mean like your skill sets, right? Communication. Are you someone who cares for others? Are you responsible? Are you a leader? Are you able to, coordinate different kind of events in your life? Little things like that. Because again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you treat yourself like shit, then what does that tell me about how you're going to treat anyone else? And that kind of brings me to the point in why I started this video, is because even though all of these things are going on in my life, like again, fasting for Ramadan, my schedule is completely flipped around because I'm the type that requires a militant schedule to get the shit done, right? Within my gym, within self-improvement, within, my business, taking sales calls, taking client calls, right? I require a very, very detailed schedule, and I have to be used to this, and it takes time to get used to something like that. And Ramadan kind of flipped that whole thing around. But you have to adapt. You have to adapt, and you have to say that I will get 1% better every single day, regardless of what happens, right? Give yourself non-negotiable tasks that you have to get done. Don't try to finish hours of a project in a day, right? Don't try to do some massive project every single day, but just like small things. Did you do any type of training today? Like 30 minutes, 45 minutes? Did you do that today? Did you, try to improve your competency? Did you read a book? Did you try to read out loud? Did you look at self-improvement videos and actually take notes instead of just consuming it for empty purposes like this video right here? Are you actually taking notes and retaining the things that I say? Or are you just watching it to make yourself feel good? It's a big difference. And the more and more congruent you can move towards that state, and I'm telling you from experience, like it's crazy how this works out in your life. Like the more and more congruent you move towards this higher self you have, it just comes into fruition. It just comes into reality one day. It's such a weird feeling. Like the person that you always told yourself you wanted to be, like enough time passes and it's not like one day it magically just comes along and you're like, damn, I'm that person. But no, like you subtly just have little actions that you take, little moments in your life that you're like, damn, I am reinforcing the fact that I want to become someone better. I am reinforcing the fact that I am doing, I'm improving from who I was. And those little actions, those little commitments, those little moments is reinforcement in your subconscious mind. And those little moments, right? It's reinforcement in your subconscious mind that you're actually making an identity shift. That's the biggest thing, right? Is an identity shift. That is how you get to a committed state. Can you shift your identity to someone who is committed to the long-term vision? Because I'm always gonna play the long-term game. I don't care about getting it quick. But what you have to understand is that anything that is very, very accessible and instant to you is always gonna be bad. It's gonna feel good in the moment. Yeah, like drinking, it feels great. Like you get to feel a lot more social, you feel a little bit loose. You get like that drunk feeling. I don't love it, but you get the point. But the next day you feel hungover. Why? Because it was instant to you. You didn't earn the feeling of being drunk and being social. You had to pay the consequences. Compared to delayed gratification, right? You work. And you get to the point where you are this person. You do have this identity shift where you are like, without the alcohol, you're just a social person. Because you worked on that yourself. You went through social anxiety, you went through rejection to become that person. Little things like that, little reinforcements through action is what you need. You need an identity shift. You don't need motivation. You need a commitment. You need consistency. You need small, non-negotiable tasks that move you 1% better every single day instead of just checking off the boxes and doing the things when you feel like it and not actually committing. And you need to really figure out what that identity looks like in your head. That's what it means to prioritize commitment and consistency over everything. That's the game I play. There's guys who are like, fuck it, I don't care what it takes. Like, let me just like grind it out for the next 2 weeks and then fuck, I'll just go on vacation for the next week. I'll just go off. But I'm the guy who just, there's like this, just went in my head. There's a Chinese proverb. You're gonna stay with me real quick. There's a Chinese proverb I wanna read to you real quick. Let's find this. There we go. So there's a Chinese proverb that kind of just like, it came into my head. It says, he who treads softly goes far. I don't know what it is about Chinese proverbs, but they're just so simple, so subtle, but have so much depth of meaning. He who treads softly goes far. Just little improvements every single day. I promise, you will be in a much better position in a year from now. But last thing I want to leave you with is that you're always going to overestimate what you will do in 6 months compared to what you do in a year. If you just be committed and consistent, you will see a significant difference, and you will always underestimate what you can do in a year time. So play the commitment and consistency game. Don't look for any shortcuts, because I promise if you do take that shortcut, you will pay for it down the road. But I'm gonna finish my meal right here. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.